might have heard of a town called Kalamazoo, and they got their claim to fame from celery, but did you know that this whole community, all right, is private property? Well, if you didn't, don't worry. I did some digging. Let's get into it. Now, before we get too deep into this, all right, I know a lot of y'all probably thinking, what does Kalamazoo mean, all right? But don't worry, I'm going to tell you. It means boiling water, but not like hot water. So when the natives, they named the area because when the rivers would, bend and do their thing, all right, they would splash and make like boiling water. So that's why they named it Kalamazoo. And another thing, it's 5 cities in the United States named Kalamazoo, which brings me to the next part of this story. So, back in the day, Kalamazoo, Michigan, all right, they were named the Celery City, okay, because they produced the most celery at this time. But over the years, the area of Michigan, they started losing the, valuable soil that was helping to grow the celery. Also, the area of Michigan, they were being built up, so they were losing land. And California was actually starting to make more celery than Michigan. So some of the farmers in Michigan said, look, we got a backup plan. We heard about an area in Florida that grows celery as well. And they got good weather year round. But to grow celery, you actually need cool air, all right, for a long period of time. Now, that's where Sanford, Florida comes into place, all right? Because at this time as well, Sanford was producing a lot of celery. Matter of fact, right now, Sanford is the celery city. All right, look, I gotta say something real quick. There's not a lot of information about this, whole process, all right? So bear with me with the pictures. I'm just using the ones that I can find so I can tell the story, all right? I'm sorry. So, all of those farmers from Michigan, all right, they came down to Florida. They was like, look, why don't we just piggyback off of what Sanford doing? Because, Sanford's in Seminole County. But right on the other side of the border to Volusia County, there was 10,000 acres that was free. So they went on ahead and bought it. Now, at this time, the land that they bought, the area it was in, it didn't have a name. So saying that they, came from Michigan, they came from Kalamazoo, they just named, the 10,000 acres that they bought, they just named that area Kalamazoo. Now, after the land was purchased, the owner, the person that was running everything, his name was C.F. Walker, all right? They didn't have any pictures of him, but he ends up getting a grant for $25,000 so he could start this celery farm. So at this time, like I said, they bought 10,000 acres. That 10,000 acres is under this business, all right? Because, there are no homes at this time, okay? They just bought the land just to put the celery on it. So nobody was living here unless you was working here. Now, hold on, wait a minute. I gotta take a pause for a second. When I was doing the research, all right, about all of this, I started noticing something. So the people from Michigan, when they came down to Florida, they said they wanted to piggyback. Okay, pay attention to that word. Piggyback off of what Sanford was doing. But they were kind of doing more than piggybacking. They kind of copied everything that Sanford was doing. Let me explain. So when they were growing the celery in Michigan, it was said that it was lighter, it was a little bit sweeter, and overall it just tasted better. But that had to do a lot with the soil, all right? But when they moved down to Florida, like I said, they needed that cool air. So they would grow the celery in our winter months, just like we would do. But they would use the same tactics at first, and the celery wasn't coming out the same. So it was said, when they got to Florida, they got their land and all of that, they started recruiting some of the workers from the Sanford farm, all right? Because like I said, they were trying to do things their own way that just wasn't working out. So they kind of like swindled some of their workers to come over there so they could figure out how Sanford was doing it. I'm going to just be real with you, all right? They knew what time it was. This Florida, you could grow anything down here. They needed our tips because our soil was different. We had different sunlight. Everything was different than, up in Michigan. So they had to do this. Now, like I said, this whole area of Kalamazoo is private property since 2011, but it's beautiful out here, all right? It's nice. You move into Florida, you look for something, a little rustic. This could be it for you. Also, if you like the fancy smancy, all right? Want to be on the water a little bit, got a little boat dock, you know what I'm saying? This little water, I don't know what this is, probably coming off the St. John's or something. You know what I mean? It's nice. This might be the place for you. Now look, I don't know what y'all gonna do to remember this. Like it, comment, share it, I don't know. But the more you know. Peace.